Alright, who is your partner? The bar sheet or Rosh Hashanah open, or the creator. Rabbi Shimon open. Put your words in your mouth, and how much effort should man exert with the Torah daily and night? For the creator is attentive to you, for the who study it, and with every word of the man attains his by effort of the Torah he is built for the firmament. The creator giveth the righteous the power of his speech after for the creator created the creator of the power of his word with the righteous create. New heaven by his power with the boy. The Rabbi Shimon opened his speech with the explain the words in the beginning with the creator who created heaven and earth, as well as the creator also meaning for the closing and limiting it, and must understand that the creator had created it in its closed form. He answers to pull the correction of heaven and earth in the words of the righteous to make them his partners and participate in the creation of the heaven and earth. There are two kinds of renewal of heaven and earth, and for the creator and closed with the mouth of the righteous, the correction of Adam's sin, correction of the past, and even before the creation of Adam, the creator had become a secret correction of the earth and earth that is described in the beginning with the Torah of the chapter of the Beresh, the creator of the world of the ascending humans by look of the end to the Akodium, while Adam ascended with the God and the Yus and Yasa Shalt. As a result, Adam received the light of the NRN of the Esalt for the clothes of the Rishat of the God of his Alta ascended for their level. Adam is located within the words of the beyond. They extend with together these words. All the words can extend with above the permanent statement descend to the places with Adam inside of them. Adam's spiritual level and life that received determined by this location. See page 12. Alright, the Zohar. During the accident, the permanent still, the Attica, the Avia, the Attica, Yushat and Zon, Adam Beria. Persat of the world of Azal, Adam Zira, Adam Sia, Beria, Zira, Asia. In other sources of the Talmud, there's described that Adam Sia sent with the level of the son of the God, God of the Zalt. The light is called the Zolfer Allah, or Zolfer Almanic, the Zohar, the Hebrew radiant light in English. As a result of his sin, Adam fell spiritually to the level of the or corporal world of Talmud, and so not so of the Elzava, he would receive before his fall, that received light from the world of Bua, or Bari Yesva Asya, the Paris of the world of Parsia of the world Asalot. That are below Parasva. The result of Adam's sin, heaven with God and earth and man of the world of the Asalot descending to the level of the God point of the man, with respectively the descent to the tabular of the Pasvala of as of God looking. A righteous to live in the world that already existing spiritually in the spiritual world of BYA, instructed the task correcting all that transpire through the Adam's fault, the return, the renew the heavens and the earth, the sun, and the God of the Zalt. Also evaluate the look of the and the Alzalt and of the Zephyr and the 88 is God and 88 man of life. It was before sin, and as a result of their work with the righteous will to receive the light with the world with the asshole, with the corrective of the Adam is entitled to her souls are spiritual and God greater God of the inner spiritual of the parts of all as his parts. However, there even before the sin of Adam was not in a perfect state, but the Creator had created them. Hence, they are righteous for the correction of the consequence for the Adam's sins attained the end natural of the result, which existed in Adam before the sin. New work attains them to receive the new upper light with his descended in the other words first goal to correct the sin with the intent even the more even created with the created new heaven and the new property for the God and the new its new higher level that can be received. The newer level of degree never been present within any soul to describe, and neither had any eye seen the Creator besides the degrees in which the righteous attached to the world are called with the new heaven and the new earth, and for the truly new and have ever been exalted in reality. And this heaven and earth there which the righteous correct with the level that perceive the Adam sins during the creation of the creation are not called as new as they've already existed, but the Creator himself corrected them even before the Adam sinned, and hence they are called renewed and righteous to correct them and are not called the corrector's partners. And closing their mouths imply with the reception of the upper light that there was neither received by Adam nor emanated with the Creator nor by the action of the righteous, which are called partners of the participating, the co-creators. They come out of the shine in the creation. Those who receive all the righteous are divided into two groups: those who correct Adam's sins and those who create the new degrees of attainment. The latter is called the Creator's partner. God is called the voice of the voice, and the man is called the speech. The right is a person that subsides the Torah, thereby raising the praise of the voice of speech with his Torah. This is the whole soul of God. It is the voice of ascent of the heaven is the speech of the ascent of the man. The voice of the Torah ascent of the praise of the God is called the Creator, or Kadash Barashi Ahu. Also renewed the world of Torah, build a new firmament, award man's speech for the evening with the speech renewed with the Torah by those who study the ascent of the form of the eighth demand, which is called the word and speech. This is the Creator of the new firmament, the form of the screen on which the perception of light between the Creator and the Shina is made. This is why the righteous who study the Torah attain them by raising the praise of man. Raising praise. However, the renewal of the world of the Torah does not imply anything new of the voice of the Torah. For the man also to recreate herself, the woman for also to recreate herself with each of the new perception of light. After each of the perception of light, the man returns to the state of the virginity, thanks to the praise raised by the righteous who constantly renew her properties within her yasad, the soul of the reception of light of the God. Hence, the written of the Torah is renewed each of the world, with the man is renewed in the speech of the righteous of the Torah. After each of the reception of the light previous, the soul disappears and a new one appears. We have learned that just before the Torah renewed by one's mouth, that the renewal ascends, they appear before the Creator, and the Creator himself is wisdom and kisses the germs of 70 adornments, and then he renewed wisdom ascends and settles on the head of the righteous that they review the world of flies and soaring of 7,000 worlds until it ascends in Attica, Sephira Keter, and also exists in the Attica is concealed the supernal wisdom. When a person raises the praise from the Torah, this is the world, and the Nakavadid of it is the God ascending connects the Creator with the reception of light. With him, the Creator takes the word of kisses and adjourns it, and these are the two types of plural forms of the reception of the God. Kisses and bases of foundation. Each of the Here the perception consists of the two zigmas, or the perception of the or of the wisdom, both clothing itself with the parts of the garment of the mercy. Therefore, primarily the zigzag must be made on the oars of wisdom or mercy, whose role is to become the garment of the wisdom of the light of wisdom, which with each of the zigzag receiving the right light consists of two zigzarms. The supreme degree of the wisdom, which is exactly the Neshkin, become the same with the liberty of the rose of the parts of the lever of the rose and the Genesis, the zigzag of the degree of that wisdom, mercy, called the zigzag of Jesus, and because it takes place at the lower level of the bodies of the parts vium. Therefore, it is said the Creator took the Navaka in the words in this word with the kisser and made with the zigzag of the Neshken level of the garden, and there adjourned here and made of the zigzag Yasad of the level of the mercy. As a result, the level of the light of wisdom clove the light of mercy, and the Navak received the complete light. And 70 adornments, the complete light of the new Vakai is called for the 70 adornments because of the Malshah of the 70th day with which shall receive the good for the heaven of the Sisera between the 10 with the Sephirat and the 10 the turns of the man, and the 7 times 10 wisdom, or these wisdom of the light of wisdom is a tournament, adornment, a crown, hence with received the 7, called the 70 adornments. After the man received the light of the wisdom, mercy, he helps the man of the righteous, the help the righteous, prayer of the righteous, become the fit with receive the upper light of the wisdom. 70 adornments, as we said above, the two kinds of renewal, heaven and earth, of God. Where everything returns in the state preceding Adam's sin, in that of the instance of the man is called the word of Torah, or Vak, so I didn't know that one. But where the Torah is heaven, when the heaven of earth is created with the new light, which is Adam, not prior to the sin, and is attributed to the world of called the Gar, which I'm pretty sure means garden or some shit. And is written that his righteous sits on the adornments for the head from with the man ascends to the throne of the head of the righteous of the God. His Yitzhak called the Shaman Olaman, revere of worlds, rather than his Adar Yizad, placing circumcision, transpiring things through the praise raised. The righteous shall have already attained the upper light of the Adam Zerah, Allah, which just as Rabbi Shimon and his friends already had attained it. With the light of wisdom and called the Ohara, since God desires that only the mercy he can receive. or Hayat only with the help of the Navako Mashat, with the terms that the I can't believe this shit. Heaven that received the Oraha only if the zigzag of Navak and the Alam of the world. This is how the name of the Shalat or the reveres of the world originated. Also, Nava is adornment of the on its head, and because of the impurity of the Keter of the crown, the world, that heaven received light only with the thanks of to his man. Although the man was born from heaven, this is the man no other provokes, and makes reception of the light of the life possible for the God. Calls his or mother, calls her his mother. Indeed, the God received the Orah or light of life from her. Therefore, it is written, the man flies or and soars over 7,000 worlds, and after the perception of light of the God, this is on the adornment of his head, he ascends even in the light of to the AA, where 7 sarvats of man called 7,000 worlds become corrected as 1 sarvat into the God equals 10,000. After the man ascends higher and still to the attic, also the ascent with the God to the attic transpires thanks to the efforts made by the righteous man to raise praise. The perception of the Torah elevates God. On the looking while they are ascending to 7,000 worlds from the attic at the highest possible point of ascent. Therefore is written all the words of the attic, supernal wisdom and Elohim, the sixth and Mat Mishal will receive the upper light, the ascending the attic at each degree of the shall receive the attic and sculpt the conceal the supernal wisdom. The guardian of Hoshamai, or the guardian of the wisdom, that comes the words of the wisdom signify the degree of the wisdom, and the word of the concealed and secret and the supernal to refer to the garden. Also, they are revealed only by those who attain level below the attic, but not below the Tisman. But blessing, the second restriction, also exists in the Asphalt. Attic. When this hidden wisdom is renewed with the here in the world, the ascend with his joins the attic, ascends, descends, enters 18 worlds, where no eye has seen the Creator besides you. They emerge from the air, appear, and before the attic, complete and perfect. Meanwhile, the attic tests her and finds her more desirable above all else. How then takes her and adorns her with 307,000 adornments, and she is renewed with the Torah, and ascends and descends, and is transferred into the firmament. During the ascent of the man to the attic, she rejoins the rite of reception that transpires over there, creates the returning light and accepting of the direct light at the level of the attic's property. The ascent of the man, be it means for the man, evaluates of the overhoser, returning light from the herself upwards. The man descent means it ascends the or Yisrael, or the light of direct light. From above downward, the man received from the hidden secret of the supernal wisdom. The word joins signifies their contact with the returning light and the direct light from the attic itself. This from the reception of the Atika of the honesty side must the man of woman attic, the man of the attic is concealed only with the end of the correction, like with the side of the God during its ascent. The AVI is your side cut of the Shaman Olaman, which I'm not sure what the hell that means either. I just gotta check. Reveres of the world. The difference between them is the side attic with it's called no one else but you can see the creator. The zigzag on the outside elevates the direct light and the return of light, and with the screen that defines the level of below the attic, the wings block the upper light. This shows the screen possesses the force of restriction, law of judgment. This is the direct light, and it's called the light of restriction. Thus, the light of the returning light exists in sight. Conversely, screening aside at the attic, in which it says that the creator no longer hides from you, while it does raise the direct light, it does not conceal the creator, be thereby does not have the properties of the other wings. This is the reason why it's called the revere of worlds. Nevertheless, it remains concealed until the man attains the level of himself, as is written, only your eyes shall ease the Creator. There are only no wings, anything else will conceal him from the outer side of the eye. No restriction are imposed. Everything is revealed, and there are neither are restrictions of the direct light of the only mercy, benevolence of the light of direction. From the revere of the world implies that the reception of light is made by the 10 sephirah of the direct light from above downwards to the 10 sephirah of the light of the direct the 10 returning light from above and the 10 direct light from below upwards to the whole in 20 sephirah, not that man herself but each side of the man. The instance there is 9 survive of the Yashar, and then 9 survive of the O of the direct light. The side of the 9th and survive the 9 plus 9 is 18, 10 plus 8 is Jihad, and Shet with a pronounced reserved in the Shadat or Shiite, Shet Yad, or Shai. This is the returning light, the light world of Shyam. Shame, the word life, shame is the verb from the word alive. The Shia of the word is able to make the big dog with the reside with the upper light of the light of the light of wisdom. Tremendous upper light of the manifest the attic. The result of the less receptive of this is because all the worlds are inhabited in them by joining them Vaka to there attain the true perfection, all the levels where they are initially concealed with the Creator by the Creator. Hence it is said that the world file of the firmament, which signifies the creation of the light of direction from below upwards, which leave the upper light of the light of returning light descends from the Creator from above downwards, and the clothing of the direct light over the creating of the or of Zephyr creating firmament because of the screen, but they appear for the man for the creation of the direct light, which result of the good deed of the righteous. Therefore, the man requests the spiritual ascent, aimed at pleasing the Creator. So then, after the screen makes the perception of the upper light, it may become firmamented with the help of which the righteous attain the full height of the degree on which they now made Vigvag. Reception of light. This occurs when the degrees descend with righteousness through the affirmative clothed of the direct light with the garment of this firmament, which together with the light of the direct light clothed within it turned over to descend below the screen firmament, thereby becoming attainable by the righteous. Those righteous have achieved such perfection that they can raise praise to such exalted exactly and already rid themselves of the egoism completely. They do not receive anything from themselves. Instead, they raise for the request that the sole purpose of the pleasing the Creator, thereby their corrections of phrase, they correct the screen of the man, aimed by creating the direct light in her, which ascends with the screen of the man upwards, making her capable of seeing the Creator. The reception of light, this becomes all the extending altruism, the bestowal, the repelling, the rejection, and the reception of oneself, the egotistic pleasure. Then there is a reception of light with upper light and upper light closed, the ascending with returning light, the descending upper light closed, into the returning light, into the recite, righteous that have been raised by prayers, the expression of the below upwards implied with the repelling light by a person from above downwards, it designates a person of reception. And since the upper light that comes from the man throughout the firmament, it takes the light reflected with the firmament as then the government one received the upper light clothed with returning light. This means that even after everyone already received the spiritual information for the entire degree, the delight of the upper light descends into him with the extent with which he can please the Creator, thereby to the extent of the strength and magnitude of the screen, the amount of the returning light with the correct the direct upper light, such the perception of the upper light only the extent of the magnitude of the direct light created by man. This is called the receptive light, is by the reception of the Creator's sake, and whereby one can find himself way bestowed upon the Creator that he does not receive. Hence his reception is clothed in bestow, upper the direct light is clothed in returning light, meaning the lower one received only the clothed upper light from the upper one, only through the firmament. 4. And thus every deed for the deeds create firmament that appear for the Attica, which is kind of like Adam's like little heaven. He called himself the new heavens, or the rather than renewed firmaments concealed with the supernal wisdom. All other parts of the Zohar are not renewed, but by means of supernal wisdom appear for the Creator of the Sun that becometh the lands of the life, the arts of Hashim. which is descending and adjoined with the one land that becomes renewed. A new land comes in beginning from all that was renewed from the Torah. The rights are constantly raising newer and newer praise. Thus, the receive newer and newer degree of the attainments of the Attica, which will help the firmest grade of the upper reception of light. For these firmaments emerge in the new heavens, which are renewed with the degree of the Attica, the result of the attainments of the righteous, and therefore they call it the hidden secret of the supernal wisdom, for the ascending clothing for the garment received with the firmaments. Man is called earth, and beyond is called the land of life. The art spot with the Hisham of the man attains all the degrees beyond, with which acquires the name of the land of the life, man, and it's also called the new land of the she changed for the hero own property from the beyond. Everything that was previously man becomes beyond. Therefore, written in the future, the beyond will become the Sag and the Sag and the Ma will become the AB of the heavens of the God, not ascending to the degree of the Attica of the Hoshama, the new nuke of the Deeps, I don't know. As written when the new land, the new heavens, which when I make must be written. It's not written that I have made in past tense, but rather I am making the present tense. But they are constantly made with the renewal and secret of the Torah. It is written with this: I shall place it into your mouth, and the shadow of your hands and garment. I will make to take the heavens and lay the foundation of the land. Husha. It is simply said that heavens for the implies that heavens renewed from by the Torah. Probably all of them. Everything that is described in the Torah is written with the present tense, but therefore in no time the spiritual everything is written with regard to the one attained with the Torah at the given moment. This is what the Zohar wants to stress here. The matter concerning a man's constant work of himself with his nature with the righteous, and they have already attained the upper light with containing the creation of newer and newer heaven's land is written with the righteous ascending from this new summit to summit. This process is infinity. Maybe not. Rabbi Elzevir said, when meaning with the shadow of your hands garment that has answered the Torah was passed for the Moses, and 10 of the 1,000 super angels appeared with the rays of him from the flame with them for the mouth, but the Creator protected him. So now that the renewal and the Torah sent with the period before the Creator, they protects it and shelters everyone performed in it, and so that prevents the angel from finding out and banging him until the new heaven and earth are made. But the renewal of the Torah said, take the heavens and lay the foundation of the land of the shadow of your hand garments as foul that all this that is concealed with the eyes of achieving the supernatural result. This is why it said, in the shadow of your hand garments, why yet we should not be concealed from the eyes for the sake of the supernal result. Hence it is immediately so that they make the heavens and lay the foundation of the land, as we have learned, so that the new heaven and earth will all appear out of concealment. And the phrase, in the shadow of your hands and garments, alluded the light of direction of the direct light with the garment, with the stem of the firmament, clothed and covering over the light of the wisdom, like the shadow of the garment, concealing the wisdom of the outsiders' eyes, so that they do not know what's inside. Why are higher degrees concealed from angels, so they would not envy the man, when the angels, which are made from very light material, without egoism, look at one with the righteous and see the negative properties that envy him in the higher degree that him has achieved. Then they begin slandering at the righteous the property that they discover in him, and this brings the harm to the righteous. Therefore, the degree of the clothing garment of the firmament of the direct light, the garment measured for the degree itself of the magnitude to prevent man from receiving more than the intention of the Creator's sake allows, than only the extent of the direct light. This is protected with the angels' envy from his ability to harm in the spiritual condition that becomes equal to them, and the property of the returning light makes them equal. Like everything else that fills the world of angels, or man's inner property of the forces, in order to avoid him harming himself, wishing to attain the high degrees before he has acquired the direct light. These degrees must be concealed, however, in addition with the direct light, one should exercise caution against the desire. He explains the rule: with the eyes see, but the heart covers. The man would not be able to protect his intention for the keep of the Creator's sake alone, and would desire to receive himself with however the one clothed in the garment of the firmament can be certain that they will not be received above the intention to receive the Creator's sake. Let's briefly examine how the desire conceives of this man. One looks at something the first time, not yet knowing what he's going to see. It is an object that accidentally falls into the field of vision. Naturally, no ban can be imposed on it, and the occurrence of the knowledge depending on the man, thus neither rewarded nor punished. However, where I'm looking at this first or the second time, here a man already has the freedom of choice, and the second look it's going to result with the desire to perceive the pleasure from it's forbidden. If you cannot restrain yourself looking for the second time, and his eyes had sent a signal to his heart, the heart begins to desire. Thus, the man has the power to decide whether or not to allow the desire to be born within him. This means of the phrase of the eyes instead of the heart of the covets. He said these gates of the worlds were set upon other, and they renewed the Torah or with you. You are my partners, just as I make them in heaven and earth, and my words as written by the Creator of the world of the heaven made, so Creator of the new heavens, earth, by your labor in the Torah. The property of the receptions are gated with the cup of the lights of open gates. They are always ready to receive the words of property of the soul and rising of the praise. But the Creator of the praise, the set upon another, signifies one clothing to the other, such a reception from the sake of the soul. 68. However, if one were to claim the innovation of the Torah by one who does not even know what he is saying creates a ferment, then looks for the one for those not familiar with the secret of the Torah, but since he renewed the Torah will not have the sufficient knowledge, although the renewed sense, the reverse side of man, male part of the impure force of the false tongue, and then forward from the Navak, or the impure force called the Teham Rabbah, or the great abyss, comes the Torah. The reverse man skips 500 persats, measures the distance, receives the renewal of the Torah, takes it and makes it a false ferment out of it's called abyss. As we already know, the wretched of the praise of the please of the Creator, this the up of the words of the Torah, for the words are renewed as a result of the upper reception of light, and the God received the new light from the reception of light to the extent that they come into merit renewal of the heaven and earth, and by their actions that they are by Creator's partner with the fellow works, and for the just like Him, they renew heaven and earth with their words. Although the one was not familiar with the secret of the Torah, the ways of the Creator, so they know how to protect himself and to harm the higher degree to tell himself with his intentions for his exalted goals. He deluded himself, and he does not know from which that which his soul surely knows that his intentions are from himself. Terrible punishments awaits him, for all he allows the impure force to destroy those who labor in the Torah. Zohar explains the one who does not know the exact meaning of the word, that if he raises the praise of the great of the deception of the great, the reception of light without the understanding with all the intricate detail of the act of the reverse man of the false tongue captured this world. One impure force is all consistent male and female part. The male is part of the fruitless in return, and the female part is called the falsehood. The part of the one pure force is not bad as the female part, and then when it is by itself, it is not prompted on one line of the Creator's name. On the contrary, to goodness strike the eye, yet the eye is self the evil. He who falls into the hands of the male impure force of the Creator names in vain, for he detaches himself from the Creator, receives no light from him. He utters the words and seemingly acts, but fruitless. If the actions are not seen screen as an interaction with the light. Hence the sage of the Creator says that all those who are proud that he and I cannot be together with, for the intentions are to receive everything for himself for his own benefit, for his pride and vanity and all sensation of one eye, the greatest manifestation of the pride. Hence man now falls under the power of the evil eye. Consequently, the rays receives no response from the above that utters the Creator's name in the vain. Therefore, the male part of the impure force is called empty, fruitless, and love false, vain, unsuccessful, futile, and for the Creator cannot unite with him and to do the dissimilarity of the properties. If, however, the one feels not a similarity to the Creator, rather than opposite to the property from him, perceives himself as the most evil of all, and he can lower himself before the Creator and suppress all his properties out of hatred for them, and Creator help himself will perform the remaining part of the correction. However, the one who is proud not to only fails to understand the extent of the remoteness from the Creator, he actually believes that he is entitled to receive more than others, then the Creator owes him something. Navak di Kipla, or one's impure forces. Falsehood. Everyone follows the net of the male of the part of the impure force, later on the reception of the light within the impure, bitter, evil force, which result in connection with the male parts falsifies the Creator names descends into skates man and descends on compliance against his and takes his soul, and however the holy of the soul of the man of the one's impure forces grabs all of itself. Naturally refers to the one who works for themselves to advance spirituality, from one whom working the Creator's sake of his life with the calling, yet he may occasionally fail to observe precisely all restrictions, thus finds finds himself in such a state. The ordinary person, however, who neither works on himself nor studies the Kabbalah, is obviously entirely unrelated to the impure and impure spiritual forces. Bullshit. For example, the male impure forces says that one must study the Torah, but they steal for result of the work with himself. As a result, man loses interest in the studies most once the more consolidated himself in his efforts and advancement. Although he attains the greater his revelation of life to a certain degree, is nonetheless fruitless, for all the attainments vanish from him, and he gains nothing from them. Therefore, the Torah refers to the reverse man. Initially, he ate the drink and said, "Go," and raised praise for the Creator, received light, and for sake exalted the goal, but not for yourself. Thus, pretended it is not for impure forces, but it's the opposite. However, due to the property of the call, the fruitless return, this makes the greater exception of the greater abyss, which is steal men's soul and destroy them from the falsehood of man, and left without event, even slightest part of the soul within its feel wholly pure. Hence, it is written, the skip of the 500 precise, initially the God of the impure force of the can't remember. And heaven, the point of the man, consequently, they are only the equal of the God of the absolute or the small state, when they are also acted at the point where they have neither the power nor the place to connect the beyond. Nevertheless, man raised by the lower one's male impure with the voice, given the opportunity to skip the God of the beyond, which sustain their pure, unholy God, the Sephiroth of the since the Sephiroth of the beyond equals 100, occurs thanks to the man raised by one who uncertain the intention whether or not he acts for the Creator's great sake. The reverse man then makes the perception of the light of the abyss of the false man raised, receive the upper light of the construction of the parts of subject for the God. Special objects must be the light of the pure heavens, where we're created with the pure praise also the new heaven created with the impure man. Praise are created reverse and empty, and since the impure man took part of this, these heavens are called the Tua, or abyss, or chaos. And this reverse man flies across the empty firmament, traversing with a 6,000 precise in one bound. As soon as the empty firmament stops, the impure woman emerges at once inside, seizes out the impure firmament and partakes in it, and she leaves it and slays hundreds of thousands as long as she remains in the firmament, and she also has the authority power to fly to transverse in the whole world. And all this stems from empty firmament, stems with the impure forces, which correspond to the opposite with the supernal holy wisdom of the wisdom of light. Sephira Hokama equals 1,000, so written with the flies across the firmament is 6,000. Survive of the parts of Ahosh wisdom, which equals 1,000. After the new heavens and pure male part with the call of the empty heavens were complete with the power of its female half, of the greater abyss was revealed, and the force attack of the firmament of the falsehood by the creator of the name. She roared through the sky, and the heavens were called abyss and chaos. Since the abyss with the impure forces partake with the firmament, she becomes stronger and grows even more the male fit level, the impure part. This is because of the male impure part reach of the part of Hoshima, which equally 6,000 precise, which the abyss grows them full 10 lights of the entire world. There shall be immensely powerful, can destroy man for each of the Rashai of the greater creative, the one opposite of the other. And just as new, the holy heavens lamb and the created, thanks for the praise, the rage for the righteous, new pure heavens lamb, but the creative through the man, through the praise, the rice, through those who do not exactly know how one should work for the creator. It is written, do not falsify fruitless transgressions. Transgressions relate with the male part, the heavy of the wagon shaft. What is the transgression, the impure of the abyss, the reason she draw the male impure with the part, fruitless, and that then the result of the transgression committed is the male part of the draw itself toward the fruit, the abyss, who grows strong and flies off and slay the people. The men does she slay. And many does she slay, and who is called to all this is those who stay with the Torah, but do not attain the light of the aura, or light, or mora, light, or bestow upon any of the Creator be mercy of them. As we already mentioned above, the male impure part is not evil with the female part of it, because it makes it similar to the holy part of the creature, hence with the fruitless, and however do the similarities as correct over the power to ensnare the man. For example, just as the sages do, and encourage the people to save the Torah, yet its goal is different from that of the creator. It wants to receive the wisdom, not become the altruistic. After one is caught into the toils of male impure forces, becomes the grievance of receiving the light with the impure abyss like a heavy wagon shaft. They pull all itself in the abyss greater than the darker than heavy. The dark does not realize that he is in the darkness. On the contrary, he considers himself the wise and righteous. The male part with the only catch of the man binds him and then brings him into the pure abyss, casts him into her feet, and only does he falter in the task, falls in the greater abyss, and perishes. Rabbi Shimon said to his friends, I beg you not to utter any discriminants from the Torah, no matter which may you hear the greater tree of the truth, which you do not as if they impure the abyss for the slaying of the multitude of the people, for not they all open the mouth and save them one merciful one, save them one merciful one. Rabbi Shimon said that if you have attained the discernment yourself, they are allowed, but if you listen the great tree of the greater learned sage, though whose wind and purity can be trusted, and to learn how to work for the Creator. Come and see what the Creator created with the world with the Torah, and he looked into the Torah not once, not twice, not thrice, but not four times. Only after he decided to create the world, he would show the people how not to err. Opposite of the 4 times the Creator saw and counted, prepared, and investigated what he had created. If there was written in the beginning, created with the Creator at the 4 words corresponding with the 4 above them. Then it was written that heaven opposite of all the worlds with the Creator located in the Torah before he began to manifest his thought into reality. The 4 words signifying the 4 times period of the 4 spots. Some saw the designated the wisdom counted beyond the prepared with the God, investigated with the man. After these 4 creators were created with what he created, we find some of the Torah be in the beginning of the wisdom, the creator of the beyond and greater God of the heaven and the man, which includes everything of the alpha and of the ta of all letters and all the properties hence shall be designated with the Torah by the world. Alpha ta for the first letter of Hebrew alphabet is alpha to the last tava. After these four, he created the heavens of the earth and revealed the next lower degree below man. The donkey driver.